Campbell turns back the clock a couple of months with a big performance in the Leafs win over Pittsburgh. The Canadian women's hockey team wins gold, and Chris Johnston drops a bombshell on his show today about who the Leafs could acquire at the deadline. All this and more coming up on today's Locked On Leafs.
You're Locked On Maple Leafs, your daily podcast on the Toronto Maple Leafs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome, folks, into the Locked On Leafs podcast, your one-stop shop for all things Leafs. I'm your host, Mike Distefano from TSN 1050 Toronto Radio, also known as Al's brother from TSN's Overdrive and TSN 1050's Leafs Lunch. With me, I got my co-host. It's Dave Morassutti from Sportsnet, also a writer for the NHLPA. Dave, we were treated to a goodie today. The Maple Leafs coming away with a 4-1 victory over the Pittsburgh Penguins. We'll get into this show. And just a reminder to you folks that this podcast is a daily Maple Leaf-centric podcast. So be sure to subscribe to the show for free wherever you get your podcasts. Now you can check us out on YouTube as well. Check it out, Locked On Leafs. Dave, 4-1 Maple Leafs and Jack Campbell standing on his head. Really, he did. He like I said, he turned back the clock a couple of months to the great Jack we saw back in November, made some big saves early, made some key stops, some timely ones throughout the rest of the game, and ultimately a 45-save performance, a season high, and the Maple Leafs walk away with a full 2 points and a 4-1 win. What are your thoughts, pal?
There's a reason why I was really pushing the whole Campbell needs to have one of his better games going against the Penguins, because guess what? He needed his best game in order to get the Leafs the win. I mean, he got the goal support early. It was nice to see Auston Matthews waste no time to get the fans that were in attendance going. And,
21 seconds. Dude scores 21 seconds into the game. That was a great pass by Brody, just a heads-up play, sees, Austin just kind of ready to go up the ice and off the boards, perfectly onto his stick, and in he goes. I mean, Auston Matthews one-on-one against any goaltender. I don't care if it's Jari, who at this point is a Vezina nominee. I mean, I'll take him one-on-one against anybody. And he deposits that, and, the building erupted, just flat out erupted. I don't know, 10,000 maybe that were in attendance, if that, perhaps. But, yeah, just a really good start to the game.
A good start, and it kind of got the Leafs understanding what they needed to do against the Penguins, because what Matthews did everyone kind of followed it, which is like catch the Penguins flat-footed. They just seem to, like, you look at the Riley goal, you look at the David Kampf goal, like those goals were all just the Penguins just not properly, situated in like their defensive coverage. It's just like, how do you let Auston Matthews get free behind you 21 seconds into the game? Like, that should not be happening. Morgan Riley, his goal where he just, makes everyone think that the drop pass is coming, and he's like, nope, I'm just gonna go all Bobby Orr on you. Like, it just feels like the Leafs came with the speed and attack that I've been wanting to see from them for the last little while. And against the Penguins, who, they're a team that really likes to push things. They're aggressive. They like to play with speed as well. I like that the Leafs kind of took it to them early.
Yeah, me too. And Morgan Riley had such a good game. And just like the IQ of Morgan really starts to, like, this season, it seems like his game has taken it to another level, but just noticing, like, okay, I got a little bit of separation here. Maybe I can take this thing coast to coast. Like that one moment where he noticed, like, I got something here, kicks it into that second gear. It's almost like something that you see Connor McDavid do when he notices that he's got a little bit of time and space here. And he decides to cut through some guys and ends up firing it into the back of the net. That was outstanding. And then even just the play that he made on the Kampf goal, like, notices that a play is breaking down and Kampf kind of kicks it up and away they go. And he's able to feed him on a 2-on-1, outweights the defender, and then just slides it over for Kampf pretty easy goal for him to make. Just had to be a little patient, wait for Jari to go slide 60 feet the other way, and then a wide open cage for him. And Bunting, same thing. It was very similarly to how Bunting scored his goal as well. Jari just kind of overcommits to the quick shot or to the one-timer, and instead they kind of take it, put it to the offhand, and then put it into the back of the net. But all around, I thought that it was a solid game from Toronto. I mean, yeah, they gave up 46 shots, but not much of it happened to be in the danger areas, early on in the game. In the third period, they gave up a little bit more than I think they want to, and I wouldn't be surprised. We haven't been privy to listening to any of the post game quite yet, but I would imagine that that'll be a lot of the conversation is how they wish they kind of played better in the third period. I guess they ended up giving up 9 high danger chances to the Penguins in the third period after limiting them to just 5 throughout the first little bit. But even if you look at the heat map, it's up until late in that game, the heat map was incredibly just like green. There was barely any blue in it and wasn't that dark. So I thought that the Maple Leafs did a really good job defending today. They did a great job of figuring out when they can jump on opportunities and made the best of it. And hey, the better team won, in my opinion. I thought that they actually played a pretty good game, and they didn't give up a lot. And one of the keys was you got to fight for that middle ice. And for the most part, I felt like the Maple Leafs held the Penguins out onto the perimeter. And then you saw at times the Maple Leafs were able to cut to the ice. And really, the transition game tonight was also elite, which is something that we haven't seen as much of late. But they really were able to take advantage of some mistakes from Pittsburgh.
I also liked how their special teams played because, especially the penalty kill, we know how good the Penguins' power play is, and the best way to defend against it is make the Penguins defend on the power play.
They suffocate them. They're just like they're suffocating on the penalty kill. It's
no time and space.
Yeah, like it doesn't matter who it is, whether it's Marner out there or it's Kerfoot or Kasha, like Kampf. It doesn't matter. They're right up in your face. They pressure you on the puck, and they're forcing turnovers, and they're able to go down the other way and get opportunities, get chances. Like they scored one shorthanded goal tonight, but they had like 4 or 5 actual chances to score a shorty tonight. You know what I mean? Like I like to call it a power kill at this point. It's not a penalty kill, it's a power kill. And it's because they're so good, and it just really it snowballs and allows them to get a little bit of confidence coming off of the penalty kill. And it just goes to show that how much this team has bought in. Like guys who you just didn't expect to even be penalty kill specialists, like Mitch Marner, like Andre Kasha, Alex Kerfoot, who would have thought a couple of years ago that he would be a power play guy, a penalty kill guy. And they're all buying into the system of Dean Chinouth. And it's a penalty kill that went from 24th last year all the way up in the top 3. It's astounding. It's actually a big reason why I think that this team has seen so much success this year.
Yeah, because it feels like in past years the penalty kill has really let them down, especially in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there was a stat in the at one point in the game we were talking about like the combined percentage of the power play and the penalty kills, like the highest the NHL has seen since like the 70s, since the Islanders. Like that just shows how much more emphasis the Leafs put on their, because we know they were a good 5-on-5 team, and then special teams, yeah, they have a good power play and their penalty kill is like average. They really made sure that the special teams wasn't going to be something that held them back. You look at you mentioned the guys that the Leafs brought in, Kampf, Kasha. You can even add Mikheyev in there. Like these guys have really added that special element, and we were all worried that when Zach Hyman left that the penalty kill was going to suffer because of it.
Yeah,
but actually you were able to take what you would have paid Hyman and added a couple of penalty killers to kind of spread the duties out, and I think it worked out. You can't argue with the results.
I mean, Kerfoot played over 3 minutes on the PK tonight and ended up with a 50% shot share. Like 3 minutes at a 50% shot share and an 80% expected goal for differential on the PK. On the penalty kill, 3 minutes of penalty killing, and you have an 80% goal differential. Like that just goes to show kind of how dominant and how much of a power kill this this PK is. It's great to watch. It's fun to watch, actually. It's like I don't even get upset when they take penalties, because I'm like, all right, let's go. Let's have the boys play some solid PK time. And what they go 5 for 5 tonight on the PK. So yeah, real solid game from them. Special teams is great, absolutely. We want to talk about the Auston Matthews thing for a second there.
Man, even just me watching that,
Oh.
I'm just like looking at my teeth, feeling my teeth, like, oh, that would hurt. Like,
Yeah, so if you didn't happen to watch the game, or you missed the game, Auston Matthews was kind of just following his man in behind the net, and I
it's
guess
Crosby,
lost.
actually,
Yeah, he's following Crosby behind his net, and just kind of lost track of where he was, which I'm actually kind of surprised doesn't happen more often. But lost track of where he was and went face first, teeth first, basically into the post, into the crossbar, and like to the point where it literally took it up and off of its moorings, and ended up leaving the game for about 10 to 15 minutes. Returned, believe he was missing a top tooth up in there somewhere. So
Oh, yeah.
he'll have to get some dental work. But yeah, a little bit of a sigh of relief when he did return, because he wasn't out there for like, I don't know, 8 to 10 minutes or so. And it was kind of like, ooh, I mean, it is a head injury where you run in mouth first. Maybe there was like some sort of ricochet. I don't know, but there was clearly a little bit of angst there from Leafs Nation. And then when they showed on the broadcast that he had returned to the ice, I think everybody was like, all right, now we can laugh at him for what happened. But a slight heart attack at first. Why don't we get into three stars of the game here, Dave? And then we'll also get the thoughts on the jerseys. We had the jersey release in the first intermission, and if you're watching on YouTube, you can see our guy Dave is wearing a Toronto Arena's hat. Actually, did you get that? Did you go to like the game?
I got this one, like, they were on sale, and I like really liked the design of them.
The Aretinas?
Yeah, like it's like got a, like you can't really see it, but it's got like some nice like design woven in the tee. It's
Yeah, I can kind of see it a little bit.
color the I like, it's a solid hat. Toronto Arenas is it's a well, we'll get into a little bit more,
Yeah.
but I
Why don't we get into the jersey a little bit after we get through our 3 stars? We can talk about the jersey, and let's show some love to our Canadian women, man. Like, those ladies just went out and competed their asses off, bringing Canada, bringing a gold medal home to Canada. We definitely got to talk about that a little bit. And then also, like I said, there's a name out there that Chris Johnston says the Maple Leafs could be front runners for at the trade deadline, a top 4 right-handed defenseman at that. So make sure that you don't click away. Make sure that you're hanging in here, because we're going to chat about it. You'll want to know who this name is and if we think it's a fit or not, because there's a little bit of controversy about the player. So that's what we got lined up here for the rest of the show. This is the Locked On Leafs podcast. Before we get into everything else, though, Dave, we got to hear a word from our show sponsor.
Yeah, we got to hear it from our friends at Built Bars. They're made of 100% real chocolate. If you compare it to other candy bars, which are usually around 240 calories, Built Bars like 130 calories. That's already a big win. Comes in many delicious flavors like mint brownie, coconut almond, and new for this month, white chocolate cookies and cream. Delicious. Gotta love that. So at Built Bar, they're all about the taste. They make it taste delicious first, and figure out how to make it healthy. I don't know about you, but they pull it off every time. So make sure you go to built.com, use the promo code LOCK15, get 15% off your order. So use the promo code LOCK15 for 15% off at built.com.
Welcome back into the Locked On Leafs podcast. Mike Distefano alongside me. I got Dave Morassutti. And just a reminder that this is a daily Maple Leafs podcast. You can find it wherever you get your podcast from. Also, you can find the video up on YouTube now as well. We're on YouTube, and we put out new content, new episodes each and every day, Monday through Friday. So get a 5-pack of Eppies coming from us too over the course of the rest of the season. So if you're a diehard Leafs fan, you're going to want to be locked On Leafs. But before we talk about Locked On Leafs, actually, looks like Marty St. Louis ends up picking up his first win of his coaching career. They end up with a shootout victory over the St. Louis Blues. And Cole Caulfield, man, he's turned into a nice little player since Marty St. Louis come around. And when I look at Marty St. Louis, I look at Cole Caulfield, I'm like, I don't know why that makes sense, but it just does. It
It's like
just does.
watching that
You had to use the word mini. You
Doctor
just had to use the word mini. We're talking about Cole Caulfield and
I
St.
was
Louis.
gonna call him a
You
mini
had to
St.
use it.
Louis. I was gonna actually compliment him. This is a guy he looked up to growing up.
I
I was
know.
thinking of the Super Bowl commercial with Dr. Evil, and having the little mini me there. That's where I got the idea from. Not because
Yeah. Yeah. But hey, man, 2-goal performance tonight out of him. I think he's got 3 or 4 goals since St.
4
Louis
goals in
taking
4
over.
games.
4 goals in 4 games after just 1 in the 29 games prior. And, for somebody who at the beginning of the year placed a wager at betonline.net of Caulfield to win the rookie, the Calder,
Ooh.
I was not too happy about the way that things started. But hey, maybe he can just go on an absolute tear the rest of the way, and maybe he can make me a little bit of money. I doubt it at this point, but it's good to see the kid turning things around, even though he is a Montreal Canadiens. But let's get back into tonight's game here. The Maple Leafs with a 4-1 victory over the Pittsburgh Penguins. Let's get to our 3 stars of the game. Dave, who was your 3rd star for tonight?
Yeah, this is actually tough because a lot of guys are deserving of stars for tonight. And finding the order too, right? So I'm
Yeah.
gonna go first. My 3rd star, I'm gonna go with Auston Matthews. Got the game off going with the goal there. He drew some tough assignments going up against. At times it was Gino. You saw he was going up against Sid. He didn't shy away from those matchups, and the results speak for themselves. So good night for Poppy there.
Yeah, I mean Poppy, absolutely. Outside of the oopsies where he ran face first into the crossbar, pretty good night for him. And his play away from the puck too, just how great that is. And that this was a type of game where it's like, I'm playing Sid. Like, people are watching. I gotta have my best tonight. And I thought that he brought it, man. Full 200-foot game tonight from Matthews. For me, I'm actually giving it to the penalty kill unit, the power kill. We talked about it at length in the first segment there, but they go 5 for 5 and end up a +1 on the night, actually, with Kampf scoring that goal. But so many chances. Like seemingly Mitch Marner has 2 or 3 opportunities on the on the PK each and every night. Kasha, Mikheyev had a couple of good looks. Kerfoot, we already talked about him and how well that he did. But even they didn't give Pittsburgh much of anything either, But I will say this: you don't want to take 5 penalties in a game, especially against the Pittsburgh Penguins, who are I think they were 11th power play coming into the game. So. And that's with all the injuries that they've had and all the guys that they've had missing. So, you insert Geno Malkin and then a healthy Crosby, Gensel, Rust. This is a top 10 power play unit. And for them to go 5 for 5, end up with a +1, thanks to that great goal by Kampf that was set up by Riley. Got to give him some love. The power kill, 3rd star of the game. 2nd star for you, Dave.
2nd star, you got to go with Morgan Riley.
Yeah.
This is the type of game we need to, we want to see Morgan Riley have a little more often, but the confidence to skate and get in on the play, get in on the rush. I think really threw the Penguins off, especially with the first goal. No one expected Morgan Riley to do that. So and he was a monster possession wise. He was their best defenseman in that department, and Mo definitely deserves to be up there in the 3 stars.
Yeah, Mo, he's my 2nd star as well. Just a terrific play to jump up into the rush on the power play. He saw an opening and he just took it right to the net. And well played shot too. I mean, Tristan Jarry is a terrific goaltender. He's having a Vezina quality season, and you get an opportunity to grip it and rip it on that guy. And you put it past him, that's a good thing. So Morgan Riley giving him some love there, and then just the 2nd goal too was all him. Like at the end of the day, that was that was him making a really nice play, jumping up into the rush, kind of noticing that Kampf, was pressuring Gensel, noticed the turnover, and Riley just kind of jumps on the loose puck, and away they go. Nice little 2-on-1, and it results into another goal. But at the end of the day, what Morgan Riley's been able to do of late, the steps that he's taken in his game, he's truly become a number one. Like, for a long time, I think I've called him a top pair defenseman, but I've been very reluctant to call him a number one defenseman, because to me, if you're a number one defenseman, you have to be a 200-foot guy.
Yeah.
But this is what this guy's become. I mean, he really, really has been. He's solid in his own zone. He's solid in all three zones, and he's got so much confidence right now too. And he's jumping up into the rush, and he's making plays happen. Love what we're seeing out of Morgan Riley. So he's getting my second star tonight. And the first star of the game, I assume it's the same guy who you're thinking of. Would this be a man who stopped a lot of rubber tonight by any chance?
Stopped a lot of rubber, especially some rubber with that he may have allowed a few ugly ones. Pittsburgh was not getting any ugly ones tonight with Jack Campbell in that.
No, they didn't, and he made some big stops too. Like, early on, there was a couple of saves that he had to make in the first 5 minutes where I was like, okay, this is a good sign. Like, Campbell looks like he's in a groove tonight. That's nice. And then as the game kind of wore on, he was still making those big saves, and he was looking comfortable, and he was tracking the puck really, really well. And at the end of the night, ends up with a season high 45 saves. But for Campbell, it's more the timely ones. Like, you think back to the Calgary game, which was probably like, it wasn't a great game for him, but it's those timely ones. You score the first goal of the game, and then you allow Andrew Mangiapane to come down and score like 30 seconds later. Like those types of daggers where you take all of the wind out of your sails by allowing a goal directly after you score one. Tonight, he was tested a couple of times. Pittsburgh was really attacking after Toronto had scored, and Jack Campbell's there to make the stop. So it was kind of those timely saves and didn't allow for anything that could have really given Pittsburgh any type of momentum. And then in the third period, he came up clutch. Like, there was 9 high danger chances in that third period alone. And Jack Campbell allowed the one on Geno Malkin, but even that was like on a follow-up on a rebound. And outside of that, pretty clean night for Jack, which is great to see. And I wonder this, Dave, and let me know if I'm crazy, or let me know if you think this might have some legs. But tonight was the first night that fans were allowed in the building since early December. I think December 11th was the last time that they had fans in the building. I know that's the date for fact, but December and January, Jack Campbell was not very good. And he hasn't been through since, I guess, December 1st. He really hasn't been that great. I wonder if the lack of fans feeding him, the soup chants at home, that atmosphere, maybe that was affecting his game a little bit. Because tonight he got the soup chants early, got the soup chants often, and he was special. He made some big-time stops, and he looked like the guy who was a Vezina caliber player back in November. Like, I wonder if that had anything to do with his struggles. The fact that there was just, no atmosphere for him to kind of thrive on. Whereas tonight, you could tell that early on, he was kind of, having some success. He was getting the soup chance, and it carried through to have a pretty fantastic night.
I think it didn't hurt. Like, I don't know if it's the exact reason, but I think that it does play a factor. He's admitted that, when they would ask him, what does he think when the fans chant soup? He's like, he kind of gets all like blushy, and he's like, oh, it's very nice. Like, it's something he definitely feeds off of. I don't disagree with that.
I don't even know if he's doing it like purposely. You know what I mean? I think it's more of a subconscious thing. It's just like makes him feel good. You know what I mean? Like, he just gets that adrenaline and then comes out and has a performance like he did tonight. Like, so when you ask him and he says, oh, not really, like, he may think he thinks that. But then we look at a night like tonight, maybe that is it. Maybe the soup chants are his superpowers. Maybe that's what it is. The soup chants in Scotiabank Arena is what gives Jack Campbell superpowers. Superpowers.
It sounds a lot like the Space Jam special water you're talking about right there.
That's basically what I'm talking about. Leafs Nation is Michael's, was it Michael's special stuff?
Yes,
Good
it was the
stuff?
special stuff, yeah.
Yeah,
And
something like that.
Michael Jordan's like, "The special stuff has been in you the whole time."
Exactly. So now we just got to tell Jack that, hey, it's been there the whole time, pal. Let's get back to being a Vezina caliber goaltender and put this team on a winning path. That's what we got to do here. That's what we got to do, Dave. Hopefully Jack listens to the show and he can understand that, and maybe he'll finally get it and take this team a very long way. All right, before we take one last break here, rate those jerseys, the Toronto Arena's jerseys, on a scale of 1 to 10. Actually, do you have that video queued up here
I'm
by
gonna pull
chance?
Yeah, I'm gonna pull up the jerseys right now.
So there they are. If you're watching this on YouTube, and this is another reason why maybe get onto YouTube, because you can see, well, visuals, stuff like this. So we're
I
posting.
I break down with the Sabres jersey right here.
Yeah, so that's what this is. This is a breakdown of the jerseys that's going to be at the Heritage Classic on March 14th in Hamilton. So you've got the Sabres jersey on the left, and today the Maple Leafs unveiled the Toronto jersey during the first intermission, and it's a bit of an homage to the Toronto arenas. And I gotta be honest with you, Dave, I don't like it. I do not like these jerseys. I think these are pitiful. Like, I'm giving them a 2 out of 10. 2 out of 10, man.
I've
You
seen
can't even see
worse.
the arenas in the background. Like, what's the
Yeah,
point?
I
Just
know.
have the T.
First off, could they not pick a better mannequin to display? Like, why does the Sabres just look nice and fit, and ours looks like he just came out of a beer league game? That's my first problem. If you're looking at the photo, ladies and gentlemen, on YouTube, it's very appalling. That's the first issue I had with it. But yeah, no, I wasn't. I don't hate the color. I don't like the fact that the arenas part, it seems to be almost like transparent with the jersey. It makes no sense on that one. What just doesn't make sense about this is, why is it the arenas? Like, what is the history between the arenas and the Sabres? Like, if you're thinking of like Heritage Classic, but you're also thinking of the rivalry between the Sabres and the Leafs. Get the Leafs part in there. That's the part that I'm struggling with the most. I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna just show off my favorite jersey here. Just give me 1 second, folks. This right here.
Mm, of course.
When I think Leafs, I think of this jersey. This is when I like the rivalry with the Sabres was really brewing. I don't have one with the Sabres, and I couldn't find one. But that's my biggest issue with these jerseys, is that it doesn't scream to me as the Leafs Sabres rivalry. You're just pinning too much on the arena jersey, and we already have an arenas jersey from.
Yeah, but I don't know if, like, why are you so clinging on to the rivalry aspect of the jerseys? Like, I don't think there needs to be any significance to what the jersey means to the other team. Like, I think it's just the heritage of your own team.
Yeah,
So I think when you look at the Maple Leafs, the Toronto Arena is deeply rooted into what the Maple Leafs are now. So it makes sense to me. I don't think in my head I need to marry the arenas with the Sabres and try and find some sort of connection there to call it like, it's not the rivalry series, it's a Heritage Classic, right?
so, okay, I that's a valid point, but the other issue I have with that is the Leafs have done the arenas jerseys. They've already honored that arenas past when they brought those jerseys back years ago. They haven't really, if you look at their third jerseys, they've done the same Pats, they've
Yeah.
done the arenas, but they haven't really like gone back to like the traditional Leafs. I'm like the new logo that the Leafs have now
The
kind of
Stadium Series ones kind of looked like that, didn't they?
a bit, but like there's like I think of the Winter Classic jerseys,
Yeah.
and like those really paint of like the picture of the past. I think the Leafs could have gone even further back to like a really like a really old like Leafs logo. I just feel like they've done the arenas. I don't know if people's connections to the arena is the same as it is like with the Leafs. That's just my thing. I love the arena's jerseys. Like if you look at the ones that they had a few years ago, they're very similar to the design of the hat. I just took the hat off because it was a little too much for the camera. But like,
The Aretnas hat.
yeah, because the light was coming off my eyes there. But I just think that they've done the arenas
No,
before.
hold on. Have you never heard that joke?
No, I've never heard of that joke.
The arenas, the Aretnas, the
Oh,
Aretnas, because the T's right smack dab in the middle.
oh
So
God.
it's like the Aretnas.
No, I did not know. That just
Oh, yeah.
flew right over my head. But it was a good attempt.
Well, look at it. You have the hat right in front of you. Go, read it. You see Aria and the T's right in the middle.
Yeah, I can see. I get it. I get it now. No,
Yeah.
it's not bad, Mike. I don't mind Toronto arenas. I know it's a very stoic part of the Leafs past. I just think that they've done it. They've done the same pats. I know they did it for the outdoor games too, the Leafs, but they could have really gone with a vintage look and a new spin on a vintage look too.
Mm-hmm. Like maybe this one over my other shoulder, like that one.
Like the ones from the 70s.
Well, yeah. So like that's Sittler.
Yeah.
Like Sittler base.
You know, it's funny enough. I had one of those jerseys, and I don't really know what I did with it. I think my brother took it when he moved out. Him and I had like a jersey collection growing up. So I just think there were a lot of other choices the Leafs could have gone for jerseys that could have been new and fresh. That's just my.
Yeah. Well, they didn't, and unfortunately, we all now will have to watch them play in those god awful Toronto arenas jerseys at the Heritage Classic, but. You know what? They may have lost out when it came to the aesthetics of the jerseys, but I have a feeling that they probably will end up winning on the ice, which at the end of the day is really what matters. If we're being completely honest here, I don't think the jersey matters not one damn bit unless you're Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders always believed that if you look good, you feel good, you feel good, you play good, they pay good. So, you can look at it in a couple of different ways. But
Deion was quite smart.
So speaking of paying good, my friend, you know who pays good? Our friends over at betonline.net. And football season might be over, but basketball is in full steam for both pro and college hoops. From all the greatest odds, latest odds, totals, and player performance props to where the next coach who was fired is going to land, betonline.net is the number one spot for all your sports betting needs. BetOnline remains the best spot for all your sports scores, podcasts, and news this season. And it's not just basketball. BetOnline.net is your source for hockey, boxing, and UFC odds, right to the Olympic coverage and information. Head to the website today or use your mobile device and learn more about the trends in action. BetOnline, it's where the game starts. And, hopefully you bet the under tonight, and I guess you could have done the Leafs money line in the under for a little parlay. I think you would have done all right for yourself if you would have done that. But, so you can do any bet you would like over at betonline.net. Last night I made a bet actually at BetOnline and cashed, and that was for Poulin to score a goal. I don't know how I got this at plus 245. I don't know what the odds makers were thinking. It's a gold medal game. She's guaranteed to score. Guaranteed to score.
4 gold medal games she has had a goal. That's flat out disrespect.
That's just absolutely that's disrespect. And by disrespecting me, they gave me money. So thank you to BetOnline for doing that. She was fantastic.
They were trying, we're pumping their tires a little bit. We're getting, they're a nice sponsor for us. We want to give you a little bonus there.
Is that what that was? Was that just a tip for being a good sport? For
that just means fans got to go to BetOnline and make sure you're looking for those type of odds, because you threw that out there. I saw that tweet and I was just like, I don't know how I didn't get in on that. I was a little late on that.
Oh, it was like 3 or 4 hours before puck drop. I tossed that up. Actually, even more. It was about 6 hours. I think I tossed that like 5:30 in the afternoon, and the game wasn't until 11. So there was tons of time for people to hop all over that and could have made money with me. But hopefully some people did. If you don't, go follow me on Twitter at Mickey_Canucks. Sometimes I give out some betting advice. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. We like to say it's either tremendous or it's horrendous, but regardless, it's information and you could take it. You can either use it or you could trash it and do whatever you please. But last night I had some pretty good information and I had some pretty good intel because I had a sneaky suspicion that the Canadian women were going to end up winning gold, and they did 3-2 over the Americans. And it was just a great game. It was a fun game. And honestly, I think that we've been having this conversation on my Leafs lunch show at TSN. Like, is this the greatest women's team ever? Like, greatest women's hockey team ever? And I wonder if this is the most dominant hockey team ever. Like, when you look at Olympic teams, these national teams, I don't know if I can think of one who's as dominant as this squad here. And some people look at it, 3-2, like, how's that dominant? It was a 1-goal game. Well, it was 3-1 up until 12 seconds left. They controlled the pace of play that entire game and controlled the entire tournament, except the first half of that first U.S. game. But they outscored their opponents like 54-10 or 57-10, something stupid like that. Like, they just absolutely steamrolled the entire competition and just said, thank you for showing up, everybody. It'll be a great race to silver, but we're taking gold. And they took care of business. And Marie-Philip Poulin might be the most clutch player in hockey history. Did you see the stat? She now has, I think it was 7 of the last 10 goals in Canada's gold medal games.
There are certain, like, it's a rare thing for a player like that to continuously come up big in those games. Like, that's the part that really gets, because, like, we've seen clutch performance, like, we've seen clutch performances in the past from players, but to do it on that scale, and it's not just in the Olympics, it's
World
in World
Championships too.
Championships, any of those types of tournaments. You see Canada versus the US, because usually that's where you see these guys in the finals. That's you're expecting a Marie-Philip Poulin goal. Like, it's almost a given. You're just, if you're the Americans, you should just pass the puck to Marie-Philip Poulin, just get it over with now, so that we have a chance later in the game. Because that's just how it feels whenever you watch her in those moments.
Yeah, until she scored a second goal of that game as well, and turned out to be the game winner, which was what the third. Yeah, she's been at 4 Olympic games. 3 of the 4, she's walked away with gold, and has walked away with the game-winning goal in those gold medal games. Like, it's just amazing. You think back to the World Championships this past summer in the Women's World Championship, same thing. She gets the gold medal winning goal. You think back to the rivalry series that they had just ahead of the World Championships. She ended up with a few overtime goals. Like, just Captain Clutch is the most appropriate nickname for Marie-Philip Poulin. And I think at this moment in time, I think she's taken over the mantle of Hayley Wickenheiser for the greatest women's player ever. Like, this is the Gretzky of women's hockey. It's no longer Wickenheiser. It's now Marie-Philip Poulin.
Like, Wickenheiser was the trailblazer, but
Yeah.
I think Marie-Philip Poulin, yeah, like, she's she's on top of the mantle. I can't disagree with that, just based off of longevity and performance.
Yeah, if you want, like, in the way that, Gordie Howe was Mr. Hockey, he was that guy. He was a trailblazer and in the NHL, and then along came Wayne and passed him and became the great one. I think this is what we're seeing now, many years later in the women's game. For a long time, it seemed like Wickenheiser, it'd be impossible for someone to do what she's done just based on the impact that she had on the game and how dominant she was at the games. And then, here we're seeing Marie-Philip Poulin actually do that. It's astonishing to see. And a big congratulations to the Canadian women's hockey team. Brianne Jenner was fantastic. Sarah Nurse broke a record, ended up having the most points in an Olympic Games. Broke the record from Hayley Wickenheiser, and that was unbelievable. And what a family that is. I think she's the cousin of Darnell Nurse, the defenseman for the Oilers, and Kia Nurse, who plays in the WNBA. And boy, what a talented family. But there's just so many great players, and Hockey Canada, they got it going on when it comes to the women's side. They know what the hell they're doing. and Sarah Fillier too. She's kind of the next one, right?
You gotta
Can't
give
wait to
it
see
to
what they got.
Vezina as well in net because
Yep. Oh,
she's
yes.
a rock star.
Yeah, especially in the third period last night. Absolutely. So yeah, congratulations to the women for winning gold. Bring it back to Canada. We're very proud to cheer you on and super excited that you were able to finish out the goal that the women set when they lost in Pyeongchang. It was a 4-year journey to get back on top, and they did it. They did it. Really quickly before we go, I've been teasing this up for basically the whole episode, but Chris Johnston, not sure if you listened to his podcast today, but he mentioned that the Leafs are heavily interested in one certain defenseman. The name of that defenseman is Ben Chiarot. Now, it's not a random name. It's someone that has been thrown around, but he did say that they are like severely interested, like really interested. He used the term front runners, and then he kind of walked it back a little bit, if I'm being completely honest. But if he's using it, it means that he's got some intel, and I would think that that there's some legs there, where there's smoke, there's fire. So Ben Chiarot from the Montreal Canadiens, and apparently they'd be willing to eat half of his salary as well, which should bode really nicely for the Maple Leafs, who it's dollar in, dollar out. And if you only have to bring in half of that contract, that makes it way easier to make things happen and make a deal work. But do you like Ben Chiarot? What are your thoughts on Ben Chiarot? Was he on your list? I don't remember if he was on your list earlier this week. He wasn't, no.
Not on my list.
So, like, is this a fit for you? Do you like it? If you woke up in the morning and this deal got hammered out, how would you feel about it?
If the Leafs spend anything significant to land Ben Chiarot, I will
Well,
not.
it's gonna be a first round pick, at least a first
Yeah,
round pick.
and that's unfortunately for me, I think is just not going to work. The reason you see what happened to Ben Chiarot this season when Shea Weber was taken away. Like he is not the same player without Shea Weber. So what we were saying when we were talking about the trade deadline wish list was we're looking for a guy to elevate the Leafs top four, not a guy that needs someone else to kind of elevate him into that top four guy. I just don't.
I think you're shortchanging Chiarot there a little bit, to be honest with you. I think when we look at this season, it's sometimes the year's going really badly for that squad. So this a change of scenery could do well, but keep in mind that he did help that team to a Stanley Cup final a year ago, and he was a big part of that. So when you stick him next to a guy like Jake Muzzin, I feel like we'll get second pair, fourth defenseman vibes out of Ben Chiarot.
The other issue, he takes a lot of penalties. Like
Mm.
in that Stanley Cup playoff alone, he had 16 penalty minutes in 22 games. Like that's another issue I think on top, like reliability. Yes, he can play big minutes because he averaged like 25 minutes in the playoffs and Shea Weber had to play a lot as well.
He's a big dude too.
He's a big dude. I can see the appeal. Maybe the Leafs feel that with him on the Leafs, it'd be a different story. I'm just thinking if you're gonna spend a first round pick on a rental, it better be a guy that's gonna really bring that's gonna really elevate. I think you gotta look and see what the best options are because I don't think Ben Chiarot. We did our trade list and he wasn't on it because I guarantee we feel there are better options out there. Maybe he's the most available option. I feel like maybe they're trying to kick tires on the most available options right now. That's why his name's coming up so much. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of it, especially if the price tag is going to be high. And it's going to be high because there's not many defensemen that are out there, come deadline time.
Well, there's a market for him, right? And basic economics, when
Supply is low, demand's high.
exactly right, like supply and demand, and there's going to be Ben Chiarot's going to be high in demand, and I guarantee that he will fetch a first round pick. I can almost guarantee it. Whether or not it's a fit for the Leafs, I don't know. I don't know about that. The only other thing that you didn't bring up that I don't even know if it worries me, but and now I feel a little bit like Mike Babcock for saying this, but yeah, he plays the right side, but he's a left shot D man. And now that's 4 left shot D in your top 4. Right?
Well,
Like,
Rasmus Sandin played the right side tonight, and he was a left shot.
oh, yeah, we didn't even talk about that. What'd you think about Sandin tonight? You think that he did all right?
I think he did all right. I mean, the goal that the Leafs gave up wasn't exactly a great moment for that pairing, but
Yeah.
considering they were flip-flopping around with the pairings and guys they were working with in the second and third pair, I didn't hate it. I didn't hate it because you were kind of forced to go with this lineup because Liljegren was sent down, as you predicted, by the way, when we were talking about the Adam Brooks stuff. But yeah, like I'm not too like if the guy is used to playing on his right side and his left shot. I mean, we thought about that when TJ Brody came to town. But he's not a right shot. He's a right hand. Like he plays on the right side.
Right.
He's not a right shot. If the player's comfortable with that, maybe that's why Ben Chiarot's not having because Shea Weber is a right shot. Maybe that's part of the reason it hasn't worked maybe the way he wanted to because he's been forced to be that right side. There are guys that don't like to be moved over. We know that Jake Muzzin did not like to be moved over. Rasmus Sandin
Yeah.
did know that he doesn't mind it.
I don't think Sherrod's one of those guys. I think he does feel comfortable playing the right side, but I just in my mind, it just having 4 defensemen and you're like all 4 of your top 4 guys as left-hand shots. It's like I said, it's a little bit of Mike Babcock in me, where it's just like you play the right. Hopefully, you got a right hand. You want to play the left. You got a left-hand defenseman. It's kind of just the way it is. You got 3 righties, 3 lefties. As is, half the time you're sitting there with only 1 right-hand shot in the lineup when it's Justin Hall or when Dermott's in there over a guy like Liljegren. Like tonight, there's only 1 right-handed shot defenseman in the lineup, and it was Justin Hall. So, if that's going to end up being the case going forward, I don't know. I kind of would rather someone who's a natural right shot guy, and I just there might be a better situation than the Ben Chiarot, but thought it was very noteworthy to bring up because look, CJ's plugged in, man, and he's not saying this just to say it. He clearly has some intel here, and Ben Chiarot to the Leafs has some legs. So whether we like it or not, this could very well happen. And if it does, we're gonna have to eat our words because we're gonna have to watch it, and we're gonna have to
It works.
force to like it, I guess. We'll see, but yeah, I think that'll do it for us here on the podcast today. Actually, okay, really quickly. Actually, they're taking on St. Louis tomorrow. Prediction.
Prediction. You know what? We saw what happened to St. Louis and Montreal. I kind of like the Leafs here. If Campbell has another good performance, I think it'd be a good omen for another victory there.
So you're assuming Campbell gets another start?
I mean, you have to reward him after a game like that because I think you're going to feed Peter Mrazek Montreal on the Monday.
Yeah, that's a good point. That could be the case. All right, I'm with you. Let's give Jack another start. I'm with you, and I'm with you too. I think that they have, they roll off this game into St. Louis and end up getting a pretty good win. And let's hope. Let's hope that's the case. Although St. Louis is a heavy team, sometimes they struggle against those heavy teams. So it'll be a playoff type atmosphere, playoff type of game, though. That's for damn sure. Should be a good one, though. So enjoy that one. But that's into it for us here today on the podcast. I'd like to thank you all for listening and supporting the show. You can subscribe to the Locked On Leafs podcast on all podcasts platforms and receive daily Leafs content. Follow myself on Twitter at Mickey_Canuck. Follow the show at Locked On Leafs. And follow Dave at D_Morassutti. Enjoy the weekend, folks. Enjoy the game tomorrow. We'll be back on Monday to recap everything that goes down over the next couple of days. But until then, keep it locked right here on Locked On Leafs.